Hi folks, thank you for your time this afternoon. My name is Lawson. I'm the Chief Customer Officer for an initiative called Origin. And Origin is a cross-media measurement service being delivered by ISBA in the UK. ISBA is the trade body for UK advertisers, and it's an advertiser-led cross-media measurement service. And what we mean by cross-media measurement is a platform that enables the duplicated measurement of reach and frequency of advertising impressions across a range of different touch points. The reasons why advertisers are so keen to have a system like this in place is really down to sort of three driving factors. The first is that the market is getting ever kind of fragmented with increasing choice around channels and formats of the different touch points that advertisers use to reach and engage their audiences. That proliferation of touch points means that kind of audiences are fragmenting into lots of different environments at any one point in time. So advertisers who are interested in reaching large numbers of people have to use an increasing array of touch points in order to get that coverage that they're looking for. And of course, the risk of using a large number of touch points in your campaign is that you don't know if you're talking to the same person lots of times or to different people in each different environment that you reach, or what the blend of those two things is. So it leads to uncertainty on the behalf of advertisers, and that inherently leads to, I guess, a trend for overinvestment, for buying audiences wherever they can find them, and potentially baking in the risk of wastage in their campaigns. And that's being augmented by, I guess, a media measurement environment which is increasingly siloed, lots of proprietary solutions in play, all of which are great at measuring the things that they measure, but the holistic picture seems to be disappearing from the perspective of advertisers and their agencies. So Origin is really set up to mitigate for that kind of lack of visibility across a range of different touch points. And there are a number of different factors which make Origin kind of differentiated from anything else in the marketplace. And indeed, it's a world-first solution, not least because it's advertiser-led, and we'll unpack that in a moment or two. But it's based off a single source data set. It's privacy safe, and it's subject to a framework of audit so that all of the touch points around Origin will be subject to independent audit and scrutiny. The benefits that Origin will bring can really be kind of encapsulated in three areas. The first one is that advertisers expect this will deliver efficiency into their campaigns. If they're able to understand how many people are seeing their campaigns, where they're seeing them, they'll be able to manage to optimal frequencies with more simplicity and readiness. So there'll be ability to manage wastage out of the campaigns. The commensurate kind of flip side of that is that advertisers or audiences are increasingly reporting that bombardment turns them away from advertising. And actually it's that sense of kind of persistent messaging that kind of dissuades audiences from engaging in content and from the advertising that sits within it. So if we can manage the wastage, then we can reduce the sense of bombardment on the part of audiences, with the commensurate benefit that campaigns will become more effective. Advertisers will be able to speak to the audiences they intend to, in the environments that they want to, with the right level of frequency, and have greater control over their exposure levels. So there's high hopes on the part of advertisers on the buy side for the benefits that Origin can bring. Origin is part of a global initiative that's been orchestrated by the WFA, the World Federation of Advertisers. And a number of years ago, they published a set of global principles, these North Star principles, which represents what best-in-class cross-media measurement looks like from the perspective of advertisers. There are a number of different criteria within those principles. I shan't go into those now. But that means the kind of the North Star kind of blueprint that we're building out Origin to deliver against. And there's an equivalent program in the States called Aquila, which again is delivering out against these same common North Star principles. The intention is that Origin in the UK and Aquila in the States would be the proof of concept markets, and then other kind of markets would develop capabilities thereafter. The truth is that I guess the markets outside of US and UK, many of them have seen enough progress for their own eyes and are starting to put in place the foundations developing equivalent services to build out against the WFA North Star principles themselves. So a whole host of fast follower markets will be looking to get equivalent services in market in the not too distant future. Thinking about the UK, We have over 50 funding stakeholders actively involved in the design of Origin. They're all funding, they're contributing to the development of the service, but they're also imparting kind of their perspectives on what the features should be, what the user experience should feel like, and giving us a kind of a really rounded perspective on what they want Origin to deliver for them. And the loudest voices within that cohort are the advertisers themselves. So 35 of our funding stakeholders are advertisers. They're actively leaning in alongside their agency partners. So alongside the advertisers, kind of under the auspices of ISBA, we have all 6 of the global media agency networks who've been on board the program for the last 4 years. And they've been joined more recently by a number of UK independent agencies who are keen to get involved and active within the service ahead of launch. And across the sell side, we have good representation from the digital platforms, from the DSPs, from the news brands, from publishers, audio businesses, Royal Mail, and Samsung Ads, who have joined as a CTV partner. So a host of different media owners joining the Origin program to contribute to the design and delivery of the service. This is our timeline. The big kind of thing to think about is the launch of general availability, which will be later this year, end of Q2, kind of May would be our target date for that. And we're on track to deliver against that launch date in May. And the main thing that's going on in the program at the minute is a series of pre-launch trials that we're calling the beta trial. And that's where all of the different advertisers that you saw on the previous slide are able to access the platform, see deduplicated reach and frequency for linear TV, digital video, and digital display. So they and their agency teams can log into the service, kind of see those reports against their specifications. So when they log into the platform, they'll specify the campaign assets that they want measuring, the time period that they want the report to run over, the audience they want to see reported against. And for things like video, they'll set the video completion status, so whether they want to have all measured impressions, the MRC 2-second standard being the kind of the threshold metric, or 100% completed views. The end user specifying those dimensions to the report, and then commissioning that report and receiving the data off the back of it. We're learning a lot through those beta trials, and that's helping us pick up bugs and kind of finesse the prioritization of the features in the backlog. Just to give you a headline summary of those beta trials, so we've got 46 different organizations involved, 32 advertisers and 14 agency teams. The advertisers represent about £3 billion of media investment in the UK, which represents something about 12-13% of the total. So a sizable cohort of the UK industry already actively using the platform. And their agency partners that are working with them on this represent about 80% of UK agency billings. So exposure to a large proportion of the market already. Origin will continue to evolve ahead of launch, and beyond that, what we launch with will be a very nascent minimum viable product, and we'll continue to evolve the platform as we go. So a number of features kind of scheduled for release across the quarters across this year. Also onboarding new inventory partners. So we currently have inventory onboarded from linear TV, as I mentioned, from Meta and from YouTube. That will be augmented by TikTok in Q2, Amazon in Q3, and a host of other inventory partners that we're working with to give a timeline to their integration as we go. So what we launch with in the spring with Origin, we'll measure across linear TV, Amazon, YouTube, Meta, TikTok inventory, and they between them represent about 70% of UK ad spend. So that's a sizable chunk measured from the get-go, but obviously that's not where we want to end up. The WFA North Star is very clear that they want to have as much coverage of media investment as possible. So we'll be looking to onboard other media channels and other inventory partners beyond launch as we look kind of into 2026 and beyond. And we'll be guided by advertiser prioritization as we look to kind of prioritize the channels that we onboard in succession once we kind of move past launch. So that's enough of the kind of the background and context for Origin. I want to show you now some of the illustrative learnings that you can get from the platform. This is the kind of stuff that end users are able to see through their trials exposure. So the first thing that end users can see is the reach that they're delivering across the 3 touch points that they're able to measure at present. You're able to see their total reach, which of course they'll be able to measure from other sources as well, but also to understand how much of that reach was unique to that platform and how much of it was duplicated with one or more other media partners within the measurement. We can start to see how the vendors are interacting in terms of generating combined reach. So what is the unique coverage that each platform is delivering, and where are they operating in conjunction with other touch points to drive frequency? Where is the overlap within their campaigns? We're able to see incremental reach reports. So the end user would specify what the anchor channel is and then kind of prioritize the order of other channels thereafter. So you can see successively how one media touch point is delivering reach that's incremental to that which has already been achieved by the other touch points in the program. Origin doesn't determine what order those kind of touch points go in. It's up to the end user to specify the sequence of touch points. And that really reflects Origin's position as a neutral service. We're there to kind of surface data that end users want to see. It's up to them to kind of overlay the parameters that specify the report, not for Origin to impose kind of standards or beliefs upon them. So that's kind of an illustration of some of the things you can learn from the platform. Obviously, it's still very nascent. It's not ready for launch yet. And there's a whole host of other things you can see alongside kind of how platforms are delivering frequency and how coverage is building over time. But hopefully that gives you a flavor. I'm now going to kind of bring the voice of the advertiser into the room. This is Matt Thomas. He's the Senior Director for Brand and Media for P&G across Northern Europe. And P&G have been a long-term kind of advocate for Origin over the past few years or so. So Matt's going to speak for a few minutes and give you his sense of the program.
Hi, my name's Matt and I lead brand and media for P&G Northern Europe. I'm very excited to have been one of the founding partners for Origin in the UK. We believe there are numerous advantages within Origin in the future for ultimately delivering better reach and less frequency to consumers, which should do a couple of things. First and foremost, it should mean we build consumers' trust in advertising more because they see less frequency and ad bombardment from the same campaign. And it also should mean we have more investment to be able to spend on more effective media choices that drive our reach up higher and deliver more return for the company more broadly. So very excited about that as one of the key outputs that we all will deliver from Origin. As we get into the beta trial now, it's been great to start to see the campaign data come together. And I think what's been really interesting is as we start to look at things like completed view time or view time across the different formats and assess how that actually impacts our reach and frequency planning as well. So we look at the impressions within their total universe, which is really, really exciting, and I think creates more and more use cases going forward into the future. And then as I look to the future, there's many things that I'm excited about, but I think one of the biggest things is the ability to really build a lot of this data into our ongoing effectiveness modeling. So we get clearer and clearer on what really is driving return on investment and how we can spend our media dollars more effectively to drive more revenue, which also in turn means we'll be investing more in the future into more media because we know it's driving the business harder. So many great learnings already as we pilot within the beta, but very excited about where the future is going.
Excellent, thank you, Matt. So I think one of the takeouts from that for me is that advertisers are looking to Origin to be a source of insights that helps them manage for wastage in their campaigns, but I don't think advertisers are voting for reduced media budgets. What they're looking to do is to understand where their campaigns are having resonance and touching their audience in the right way, and then using that insight alongside what they're learning from econometrics, from their other experimentation techniques, to understand how best they can repurpose that investment into channels which have still got headroom for growth, which are still driving the business forward, and can deliver kind of more kind of profound success for the campaigns, rather than just kind of, I guess, a more scattergun approach, which is, I guess, this fragmented media landscape kind of steers them in the general direction of. A couple of more slides from me before we move to any questions. The first one is on the commercial model of Origin. And after a two-stage consultation with the industry a couple of years ago, it was very clear to us that The Origin commercial model should be underpinned by a levy of some sort. So we've devised this thing called the fractional advertiser contribution. It's a kind of grand way of saying it's a levy, which mirrors the ISBA levy, which pays for the Advertiser Standards Authority here in the UK. So the precedent and the familiarity with this kind of model in the UK is already well ingrained. The levy is a 0.1% fee on all working media, except for direct mail. And it's collected automatically upon invoice by the media agency. So we've been working with the invoicing platforms with agencies. So there's a little flag on there that if they tick that flag, then effectively that 0.1% comes off the working media budget. It's simple to administer, it's frictionless. It equates to £1,000 in every £1 million of ad spend. So it doesn't materially affect the size and shape of the schedule, but in aggregate it builds up to a significant sum. And any advertiser that pays that 0.1% levy effectively entitles themselves and their agency to access deduplicating reach and frequency reports from the Origin platform. In terms of the longer term roadmap, what we launch with later this year is going to be very much a minimum viable product. Advertisers have given us clear direction about getting something kind of robust and rigorous out into the market as soon as we can, and then build out from there. So that will be our core reporting product, which will launch later in the spring. And you've seen that there's a progressive roadmap in terms of features and inventory that will kind of build out on that over time. Over time, we'll kind of diversify the reporting capabilities to meet what a wide range of advertiser kind of need states that have been articulated to us. And we'll kind of create data sets which can feed into the planning tools and systems of our advertiser clients and of agencies themselves. So planning capabilities will be another kind of product stream that comes online in due course. And the WFA kind of North Star document makes it very clear that best-in-class cross-media measurement needs to also have a perspective on outcomes. So not just kind of outputs like reach and frequency, but outcomes like brand lift or sales conversion. And the key step forward on that we've taken is to engage with a number of protagonists from advertisers, agencies, analytics partners, to devise what a time series data set from Origin would look like that would empower a specification of media delivery kind of for deduplicated reach and frequency within their econometric models, so a time series data set to power MMM in the future. All of which we'll develop in due course, and we'll kind of finesse and develop the Origin platform as we go. But that's an overview of where we are now and where we're headed later this year. I don't know if we've got any time, but I'll take any questions if there are any. Who's first? Any questions?
Yeah, I've got a question, Martin. Where do you see Origin fitting in? So given that Justin and I were talking about the measurement loop, where do you see Origin fitting in according to what Justin had said? Because I don't think it's as simple as Origin is the answer to everything, but where do you see it fitting in?
Yeah, good question. I don't think we see Origin being the answer to everything. I don't think we've ever kind of maintained that it would be.
I think that's the problem with the narrative around Origin. I think people feel like it's the answer to everything. And, my second question is, when are you going to bring non-video channels onto the platform? So,
well, we already have display inventory in the platform already, so. We don't. Some conversations in play with a number of other media channels. Yeah. So to answer your first question, we've never maintained that Origin is the answer to everything. We see it very much as another data point that end users would use in their decision-making process. There's no spend data in Origin, for example. So the cost per kind of component remains within their gift to make a decision. There's no attention data within Origin. And obviously they'll get signals from things like their econometric model or any other kind of media measurement solutions that they have in play. So Origin will just be another signal that they would use against a portfolio of measurements and perspectives in order to make more informed campaign decisions. So Origin isn't a silver bullet, and it's been designed to be a complement to measurement systems that are already in the marketplace. So I guess our preference is always to ingest JIC data, and with conversations with JIC Mail in place at the minute to see if we can bring in their inventory into the platform. The long-term ambition, of course, is to move beyond just digital display, beyond just linear TV and beyond digital video, and have a fully comprehensive perspective on all media touch points. You know, the very clear advertiser mandate that we have is to get something out in market as quickly as possible and then to build it out from there.
Brilliant. Please put your hands together for Martin.
Thank you.